I love nature.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You should go to Iquitos. So when I did 10 days, every day felt like a year.
I bet. Yeah, no phone.
No, dude. And then you're sitting in your tambo. A tambo is like a hut, but there was a hole in my tambo and a bat came in.
Whoa.
And pitch black dark. And I'm thinking, I can't believe I put myself in this situation. It took a while, but by day 8, I was like, oh, I can live without my phone now.
All right, guys, we got David on the show today. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Big change in your life right now as you're transitioning, right?
Yeah, I am transitioning.
Nice, because you just played a major role and now the show's over, so you're looking for that next big thing.
Yeah, I don't even know if it needs to be big.
Okay.
It's more so just I need to figure out what is calling me, you know? Because how big that show was unexpected, and I'm okay with it not happening again.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Why? You know, I have no control over that. That is completely it's a zeitgeist moment with that show. So if I try to match that again, I'll be severely depressed for the rest of my life.
That's really impressive that you have that mindset already, because usually it takes people years to come to that.
Yeah. I mean, I watched, I know Will Smith talked about this in a lot of interviews where he says that he wanted his movie to be #1, you know, and that was his way of, you know, sort of gauging success. And then eventually that becomes you're sort of biting at your own tail by that point. So I think that's sort of the message that I got from that. I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, I can already act and I'm making money off of that, and that should be enough. And then what comes from that is extra.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're not chasing that #1.
No. I mean, it'd be nice to be successful.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be liked and loved. And I think as humans, that's what we want. We want to be accepted. But being #1, you know, it's not true, because there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone. And it's good to be chasing that. Like, oh, I want to be better. But to actually understand that, like, there is someone better than you is you know, it could be very depressing, you know, if you're really gauging your validation off of that.
Which a lot of people do, I'd say. They gauge it in money, they gauge it in views.
Yeah.
External things.
I think so. I think that's sort of the, you know, especially when you're dealing with like social media and stuff, you have a lot of comparison.
Right. Especially as an actor, I bet.
Dude, I mean, with age, it's so funny. Age and acting is I think there's been a stigma within that, especially, I assume also for women, which is even more. But age and acting, it's so funny because I'll be, you know, when I was first auditioning, I was going in for like the teenage roles. And the next thing you know, I was going for the college roles. And now I have friends hitting me up. It's like, hey, do you know any good actors that can play college? And I'm like, oh shit, like I'm not that. I'm not that anymore. I'm like, what am I? And they're like, now I'm getting auditions to play like a father.
Dang.
Yeah, dude. And I was like, oh my God, like, oh, I need to catch up with my mentality to be okay with that. Because I think that sort of becomes, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were younger for some reason.
It's hard to tell with Asians.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm 35.
Okay.
I'm 35. But it is true. I mean, my great grandfather is Chinese.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm half Chinese.
Half Chinese. So a lot of my cousins they look really good. And they also get really red when they drink.
I get red. It's an Asian thing, yeah.
Do you take there's like a pill that they take?
I've tried it. Yeah, it works.
Really?
Yeah, I don't drink too much, but when I do, I'll try to drink that, or there's a patch.
A patch?
Yeah, we have this gene break. We can't process alcohol, so we're technically allergic to alcohol.
Yeah. That's what my cousin was telling me. I was in Phoenix seeing them a few days ago, and she was like, I am allergic to alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people are.
Half of Asians, I believe. Which is pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's nuts. But you grew up in Mexico though, right?
Yeah. 7 to 14.
Was acting big over there?
No. I mean, when you're in Mexico, man, like most of the time what you're doing is you're playing imagination, because there's dirt, there's marbles, there is a lot of heat, you know, and there's not, and you know, if you're lucky to have an AC, most of the time it's not on because it costs so much money to have the AC on. So you have to be outside.
Wow.
You have to. Yeah. Like when I was a kid, my mom would be like, all right, just come back before the sun comes down. And that was my childhood in Mexico.
Dang.
Yeah, so you get to actually have your imagination runs wild because there's nothing to do or to keep you entertained.
Wow.
Yeah, have you been to Mexico?
I've been to the touristy parts, so I don't know if I count it.
Which one?
Cancun,
Okay.
Riviera Maya,
Okay.
and there was Ensenada.
Ensenada.
Was my favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it wasn't as touristy. So when I travel, I like to actually experience the local culture.
Yeah.
So with Cancun and Riviera Maya, we were just in a resort. I don't really count that as Mexico because we're just cooped up. But Ensenada, I got off the cruise boat. I walked to the local fisherman village, ate food there, talked with the locals. My fiance speaks Spanish, and that was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to Xcaret?
No.
Okay, because that's like Riviera Maya. Like around there.
That's where you grew up?
No, I grew up in Sinaloa. Sinaloa is like it's northwest.
Okay.
Yeah, it honestly, Sinaloa looks like California.
Really?
Yeah, it's sort of obviously by the water, and it has the almost the exact same length between California and Sinaloa.
Oh, so it's pretty long.
It's long, and some people like to. I don't know if some people, but they call it the cartel state.
Oh, so it's pretty dangerous there growing up.
It's not dangerous at all. Not for me, at least, but there is a lot of things that could happen. Only if you're in bad business, I would say.
Got it. Plus you were a kid, so that you were probably protected.
Yeah, but when I got out of there in 2004, and that's when things got really bad. Because I remember going back to the US and just hearing stories about some classmates and their dads turning up dead.
Whoa.
Yeah. And, they were involved in a certain way. And I'm like, oh, this is real. Some of these people are, in danger.
Dang.
In danger.
So you got out the right time.
I did, but I go back.
Well, now you're probably a legend there.
Oh, no, I don't know if I'm a legend. No, but when I do go back, man, it's really fun. It's fun. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of family. There's a lot of friends.
Is it still as bad, or did it kind of?
No, the thing about Mexico, man, is Mexico is a space where you have if you're in bad business, you're gonna be put in a very dangerous position. But if you were the only people that you hear get killed at a random spot is wrong place, wrong time, and I think that happens in a lot of places in the world.
Okay.
Now, I'm not one to speak about the Mexican politics because I haven't really been informed about what's happening over there. But when I go, my parents go twice a month. They love going over there. We have a house.
Nice.
We live in El Fuerte. I don't know if you've ever been to the north side or the west side of Mexico.
North side. I don't.
So Sonora, Sinaloa. Oh, you've been to Ensenada. So Ensenada is sort of the Baja California.
Okay.
Stuff. Yeah. I would recommend if you go back to Riviera Maya, go a little bit more towards. Tulum is nice.
Pricey though.
Very pricey. That's where I went actually last time to do ayahuasca.
Oh yeah, Tulum.
Yeah. Well, a little bit south of that, this place called Cumancaya. It's called.
Nice. And how was that?
It's great. Yeah, been doing.
I've never done it, but it's intriguing to me.
You ever done shrooms?
I've done shrooms.
How was that?
I've had both good and bad trips on shrooms.
Okay.
But now I microdose them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't had a full trip in quite some time though.
Now, how do you distinguish a good trip from a bad trip?
So the one bad trip I had was because someone came over that I didn't know, and his energy just felt horrible.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And I just immediately broke down. He was a drug dealer actually.
You did. So was he dropping off the mushrooms for you?
No, he was like a weed or coke dealer or something, but he just pulled up to my friend's house and we were both tripping, my friend and I, and just his energy was just awful.
And what about a good trip?
Good trip was in Amsterdam where it's legal. I walked into the place, bought an eighth of shrooms, ate it all, and walked for 8 miles straight. Just
Holy
smile
shit.
on my face.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't stop walking.
Wow. Yeah, I've had moments like that with shrooms where I've been so happy. And you're laughing with people telepathically.
Yup.
You're just exactly the joke and you're just laughing. And it's the fun. And one time I went to Pismo Beach with a few buddies of mine and we all did them, right? Except one buddy. One buddy of mine was just drinking an 18 pack of beer. He's like, I don't want to do that shit. So we're all, doing it and, we're having a good time. We're camping. And I'm looking at one of my friends and he turns into an egg yolk. And it's the funniest thing, dude. I won't even say his name because I don't want to put him on blast. But he looked like an egg yolk. And next thing you know, we look and we see the water. It's flowing over to us, you know, and we're like, yo, because we're by the ocean. And we start tripping out. I was like, yo, are we going to get flooded? So we wake up my buddy who was drinking the 18-pack because he was so drunk. And he was like, hey, dude, should we move the car? Should we move everything? Because we had set up the whole tent. He comes out. He's like, bro. He's like, no. He's like, chill out. And we're like, oh, okay. But it was so fun doing that. I've had bad trips also.
Was it the people you were with?
No, different people.
Okay.
But the same thing, like one of them turned into a demon.
Damn.
Yeah, he started laughing and he was like, and I was like, oh, you're not a friend anymore. Like I immediately knew, I was like, oh, you're not a friend. But it does help you actually like really gauge people's energy.
100%.
100%, yeah. I think ayahuasca does the same thing. But ayahuasca is more internal. Like you don't do ayahuasca. Like I'm not going to do ayahuasca with you and be talking to you. That's not a thing. It's like very much like, hopefully you're guided with like a shaman.
Yeah.
And they talk you through it. Yeah, I don't know if you what do you know about ayahuasca? Do you know?
I know sometimes you have an out of body experience. Some people report ET encounters. Some people throw up. I've done a lot of research on it.
Yeah. All those things have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that for like 10 years.
Whoa. So do you do it like every year or when it calls you? Or
when it calls me.
Okay.
Yeah, but since 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's been pleasant experiences?
Every time.
Really?
Every time. But pleasant in a way of uncomfortable.
Okay.
So back in 2021, I went to Iquitos, Peru, and I did 10 days, no electricity, no phone. I was in a hut, and then the closest place to get cell service was like a 3-mile walk.
I would have gone crazy.
Oh, well, that's the thing, and that's the thing that teaches you, right? It's like you get so uncomfortable that by the time you come out of it, you recondition yourself to actually be the person that you were always meant to be. So it doesn't change you. It just makes you more of what you really are.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sort of centers you. So then when you're looking at people, you're not looking at like preconditioned ideas of something. You're actually just looking at them.
Wow.
And so if you're just looking at them, sometimes it can make people feel uncomfortable because it's like, what are you thinking of me right now that you're looking at me? But that's not the case. Sometimes people just want to be seen. And so looking at them is, I feel, a lost art with so much.
So you just hold that eye contact. Yeah, that makes people uncomfortable. I bet.
It makes people uncomfortable. I mean, where I grew up in La Puente, and you look at someone and the first thing they're like, what's up, homie?
Yeah.
They want to fight you. And it's like, oh, you have so much anger inside of you. Or there's something inside of you that is afraid to be seen.
Right.
And that, some people need it. I get it. Some people need it as a way of protecting themselves. But I don't know if I fully agree with that being the only way to be.
Right. Did you have that growing up? Some anger?
I don't know if I had anger. I definitely had a chip on my shoulder.
What was that from, you think?
I moved a lot. We lived in like 14 different houses before we went to Mexico.
Whoa.
Yeah, just going from like aunt's house to another aunt's house. And then, so that's why my parents were like, this is not sustainable.
Right.
Like we're living a rat race in the US. Let's go back to Mexico. So I went to Mexico. And so because I was always the new kid, I always wanted to insert myself. So there's a way of proving yourself within that. So like, how do I gauge the situation and what do people like? What's relevant right now? What can I learn to actually get myself implemented? Because no one sees you when you're first showing up from the only thing they see is, you're a gringo. You're a white boy. You stole our land. You see all these, especially when you're 7 years old and you're learning in history in Mexico that like, the Santa Ana Treaty where like the US took a lot of the land from Mexico. And I'm coming in as an American kid, and they're like, oh, you stole our land. And it's like, dude, my parents were born here. You know what I mean? So there is like a chip to want to prove yourself that, you can immerse yourself in this culture. And vice versa, when I moved back to the US, it was the same thing, But no, anger was not a thing. I think I had a very nice childhood with my parents. They really taught me to, don't do unto others what you don't want to be done unto yourself. And also, if you can say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
Nice.
Those are things that were very much in my entire childhood. Yet I also know that is a balance, because if you go through the other side, then you can really withhold what you're really feeling. And sometimes that's not good either.
That's happened to me, yeah.
Really?
I think a lot of men struggle opening up about their emotions, right?
Yeah. How do you deal with it?
Now my fiance has been great because I had no one to talk to before. Even my own parents growing up, I was getting bullied. I was so ashamed to even tell them.
Really?
You know?
And so how did that change once you started doing it? Did you start seeing good reactions from people just opening up?
It just felt like a weight lifted off my shoulder. I would say psychedelics help too, actually.
Yeah.
You know, help me realize some stuff. But yeah, when you internalize that stuff, it can manifest into physical diseases and ailments.
It does. Yeah. Cancer, insomnia.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking of when you're opening up about, like, I did a lot of therapy about this. So it's like, when you open up, when you're in constant connection, there's meant to be conflict. There's always meant to be conflict. Why wouldn't we want to connect? Well, because I'm going to have conflict, but then you're depriving yourself of the most important thing as a human, right? To actually be able to have a conversation, to see someone. So if I feel like you hurt me, if I can express it, hey, I feel hurt because of this, then hopefully the other person will understand that it's not personal. It is a very unique experience within my own perception of what happens and how I grew up in my entire life and how I was conditioned. That, hey, the way you move the cup like this, it really hurt me because actually it reminded me of my childhood. It reminded me of when something was taken away from me. And so it has helped a lot growing up and doing therapy to understand that, like, actually, I'm going to tell you that I'm hurt because I want to connect with you.
Wow.
You know,
That's deep.
And that's better than just being like, oh, I'm afraid that you're going to run away from me, so I'm not going to tell you anything.
Right.
You know, as men, you know, that's what you.
Yeah. I think a lot of men are afraid to be judged, afraid to be seen as soft.
Yeah, look dumb, or we have to uphold a certain way of being. And it's like, well, yeah, there's certain aspects of it, but I think we're sort of walking blindly down an alley and just trying to touch the walls.
Yeah.
And just trying to be like, oh, this way, that way. Anyway.
Keeping that creativity is important, man. I remember being in school, just like I was too scared to even ask questions to the teacher because I didn't want the classmates to see me getting like judged or whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's scary, man.
I think a lot of school these days is killing creativity, man. Not intentionally, but just like.
I would be interested in actually seeing what is happening with kids in school.
It's the same system it's been since we were there. It's just like history class and math and.
But now with phones, right?
Oh yeah, it must be even tougher, right?
Yeah, because I was talking to my nephew about this, and I was like, "Hey, how do you guys deal with AI? Like, how do teachers deal with this aspect of knowing that you could just get an answer so fast?" And it's like, I guess there's programs that
they block it, right?
I guess so, and also kids are not allowed to have their phones in class. That's what I've heard. I don't know much, but
I caught the tail end of that. Yeah, because I'm 27. Yeah, some teachers would ban the phones.
Really?
In class. Do you think that's good or bad?
To ban them?
Yeah.
I think it's great.
You think it's great?
Oh my God, yes. Dude, I mean, okay, so when we were kids, right, watching TV was like a thing. Like, don't get too close to the TV. I think our parents had I don't know if you had the same experience about like video games and things like that, where it's like, that thing's going to rot your mind.
Yeah.
And there's a certain extent where it does bring creativity and it makes you think really fast and agile on your feet. But there's another aspect where it just brainwashes you. It does. I mean, if you're a kid, I remember being a kid in Mexico and like, if everyone liked this, then I'm going to like it, right? I don't even know if I like it, but everyone likes it and I want to be liked. Now, if you have a phone, whatever the phone's showing you in that moment, if there's no parental controls, like, it's going to want to make the kid like certain things that they don't even know what that is, you know? And I think that that's really important to like make sure, like when I have kids, I want to make sure that they don't have phones as long as I can hold on to that.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I want them to be in nature.
I mean, that's how you grew up, right?
I want them to be in nature and hopefully be loved by, you know, a family. And
nature's healing, man.
Dude.
Yeah, nature's important.
Dude. 100%.
I love nature.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You should go to Iquitos.
That's a lot of nature there?
Peru.
Oh, Peru?
You should go.
I've heard about it, actually.
Dude, you go there so when I did 10 days, every day felt like a year.
I bet. Yeah, no phone.
No, dude. And then you're sitting in your tambo, middle of the night.
What is that?
A tambo is like a hut.
Okay.
And it's literally, all it is a piece of wood that covers from rain. And you're covered with mosquito, what's it called? The thing that... covers for mosquitoes. I forgot.
Is it like the traps or?
Yeah, sort of, but it prevents mosquitoes from coming in.
Okay.
But there was a hole in my tambo, and a bat came in.
Whoa.
And so there was a bat flying around every night in my tambo, and pitch black dark. And I'm thinking, I can't believe I put myself in this situation. By day 8, it took a while, but by day 8, I was like, oh, I can live without my phone now.
Really?
Yeah. There comes a point where like you just revert back to whatever our ancestors were feeling being in nature.
That's impressive, man. Yeah, I'm on my phone 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day?
Isn't that crazy? I am working, granted, 100%. But still, it's a little concerning. 8 hours a day.
I'm by no means. I understand some people have their needs to have a phone. I mean, or to be on the phone constantly. You know, so people got to eat. They got to do those things.
Yeah, I do want to do a dopamine detox one of these days, though.
Really?
Have you seen those?
No. What is it?
You go in a dark cave, like pitch black. You're in there for 3 days, and then you walk out. Apparently, you're just like reset.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a darkness retreat or something.
Where do they have those at?
I think they're in Arizona, actually.
If you do it, you have to tell me how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're going in a pitch dark room?
Yeah.
I mean, are you fasting also?
I'd assume you are because you can't see. So I'm a big fan of fasting.
Yeah?
Yeah. I haven't done a 3-day one yet. The most I've done is 2 days, but I intermittent fast every day.
Yeah. It's what, 16-8?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that too?
Yeah. I did 5 days one time.
Whoa.
5 days.
How did that feel?
I think by the 5th day, I didn't want to eat. Like, you're sort of in that space where you're like, yeah, I don't want to break this. You know, there's something really, you start functioning differently. Like, I think I saw this in National Geographic, Chris Hemsworth was doing one, and the brain fog, right, is real, like after a first few days. You did it for 2 days, right?
Yeah.
How did it feel after this on the second day?
I felt fine. I could have kept going. The problem is I'm in a basketball league, so like when I play while I'm fasting, it's really hard actually.
You're a baller.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I be hooping. You play?
Yeah, I play a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna have to play.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I'm all right. I was in Montreal actually a few weeks ago when I was shooting, and I went to one of the actors invited me to be like, hey, do you play basketball? And I was like, yeah, I play ball. She's like, come play with me and friends. I was like, okay. Go to the basketball court, and she is like, oh, we're gonna go to a different basketball court. And I was like, why? He's like, oh, because these aren't my friends. And I looked to the people that were playing, and they were really good. And I was like, oh no, I want to play with these guys. And you're like, okay, got balled out.
Yeah.
There's a 15-year-old kid there that was just like a little Kobe.
Yeah.
He was so good. And I'm like 35, like huffing and puffing, like dying.
Kids are good these days.
Yeah, man. You got the AAU leagues now.
Yeah.
You know, they're being recruited. But anyway, so dopamine, huh?
Dopamine, yeah. But I do want to do a 3-day fast because your body starts healing after 72 hours. Can kill cancer cells, can completely reset your body. So you must have felt amazing 5 days.
Oh my God. I felt so good. Then like try to do a 72-hour one, and I only lasted like about 60 hours.
A lot of it is mental, man.
Yeah. It's mental.
And for me, it's a little harder because I use my brain a lot, and that actually uses a lot of calories. So I get hungry because I'm a chess player, and I podcast all day. I got 7 episodes today.
Really?
And then
so you play the chess outside?
I play on the app. That's just a decoration. Yeah. But I play an hour a day.
Really?
Big chess player.
7 podcasts today.
And that's 7 hours of filming. So I'm using my brain. When you play chess, you burn a lot of calories.
And because you're doing so many podcasts, man, I mean, the knowledge you're getting must be incredible.
It's immense.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm learning a lot.
Do you get overwhelmed by it?
No. Human memory is pretty bad, actually. So I don't retain everything. But I try to take a little piece from every guest.
That's the thing about, maybe I'm sounding like a religious crazy nut, but I think the phone is like not allowing me to remember things now. Really? Yeah.
Well, it has been proven to shorten attention span.
It makes sense.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it affects memory as well.
Yeah, because like I think about like, you know, did you ever go through a time where you knew a bunch of phone numbers?
Yes. When I was a kid, you had to memorize it.
Yeah, I memorize
my friends' numbers.
Yeah, or like maps.
Yeah, my dad used to use maps. I was never using those, to be honest.
You didn't use MapQuest?
Those looked hard to use.
You didn't use MapQuest?
We did, but he would handle it, you know. I would print it out for him and he would follow it.
Yeah. What about phone numbers? Do you remember them now?
Hell no. Just my mom's and my fiance's. That's it. But when I was a kid, I could probably name at least 5.
So you better remember your fiance's.
Have to. You never know when you'll
get
need
in trouble.
Yeah, we made it a group effort. She knows mine too, in case anything happens.
That's good.
And we got a secret phrase.
For?
If we're in trouble, it's a phrase that only me and her know.
Really?
Yeah, in case I get cloned.
Get the fuck out. And now I have to know this secret phrase. It's like, what's the phrase? Gibberish.
It's a whole sentence.
It's a whole sentence.
It makes no sense, man.
Because I get cloned.
Crazy times we're in. I do want to do ayahuasca, man. So,
If you, I know some great places, man.
Okay.
I know some great
I'm
places.
a little scared, but I think I need it.
I think the last time I went was 6 months ago, and I went to the Peninsula Yucatan, and I remember going and being like, man, every time you go, you don't know where you're gonna find. Like you're not, a lot of people going like, oh, I'm trying to find purpose and all these things, and you're great. You show up and you do ayahuasca, and you realize ayahuasca tells you completely different. They're like, actually, you don't need purpose. You need something else.
Really?
So, for example, back to back, right? So when I was in the Peninsula Yucatan, I was like, oh, I feel like I've gotten everything I want. What's next? And then I go in my first ceremony of ayahuasca. We do it. It starts at 7 p.m. You take it, and it's pitch black. And the thing about ayahuasca is, like for example, if you and I were doing ayahuasca right now, once it kicks in, we can have our eyes open and still talk.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you feel a little woozy, but you can still like look at, nothing changes with you. But if you close your eyes, you see everything. Everything. And so the reason they do it at 7 p.m. is that whenever you open your eyes, you're still seeing everything because it's pitch black.
Oh.
So you can't run away from it. Whatever ayahuasca is showing you, if you do it at night, you can't run away from it.
Wow.
And so, but if you do it during the day, you can run away because you're like, oh, this is too intense. I'll open my eyes.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And so when I was doing it, one of the first things that happened was I was like, tell me what I need to find. And my whatever my consciousness was just fell out of my body, right? And you fall into the ground and you go deep into the ground. And then you realize that like, oh, the stream of consciousness that lives in this earth is home. Like this is all there is. That's it. You stop thinking about your friends, your family, your job. You're just in a space like think of like a womb, like, oh, this is what happens when I die. But it's so frightening because you feel like you're not coming back to your body. You're like, I'm not coming back. And the craziest thing about all of that is that what it taught me, at least for me from a specific point, was we have no control of our lives.
Really?
We have no control. I mean, you have control of your actions, like you're writing something down, but we have no control about what happens when we walk out. You might die right now. You might die tomorrow. I might die later on today. I don't know, right? But to know that is so funny because I tried so hard to control my life, to be perfect, to be the best man, only to realize that like, oh, actually, I'm not perfect. I'm not in control. And there's a freedom in that. You're like, so when I was in there in that, it was so scary. But then when I came out of it, I couldn't stop laughing.
Really?
Couldn't stop laughing. I was like, oh, because you get this pressure off of you. I don't know. I mean, I feel like nowadays, when I was in my 20s, all I wanted to do was to change the world. I wanted to have meaning. I want my life to have purpose. I want all these things. And as you get older, you just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm open. I'm curious, but I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And so, ayahuasca sort of is a big catalyst within that, the transition.
Sounds like an ego death, right?
It can be. I mean, ego death to me, I think it's impossible.
Really?
But yeah, of course. Because a little bit of ego is okay because you need to survive.
Right.
So like if you have a little bit of ego, you know not to step in front of a car when it's moving because it identifies you as being alive. It's like, yo, you're alive. You care about your life, right? So don't do that. It's an instinctual thing. So to have no ego is to be able to walk into the water and not come out and be like, I'm just going to breathe in water and die.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, reducing the ego or at least maintaining it to a point where it feels needed and loved and not shunned away, then it's a really way of having a balance. It's like, you ever heard of shadow work?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you know about it?
I just know it's a form of like therapy, right?
It can be. Yeah, definitely. So like everything that you hate about yourself is your shadow. And the more you try to hide it from people, the bigger your shadow gets.
Interesting.
The bigger it gets. The more you try to hide that you like this and that and you're embarrassed by it and you're shamed by it, your shadow just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But the moment you turn to your shadow and say, hey, I love you. I accept you. I'm here. I'm going to take charge, but I'm not going to forget you. And your shadow goes,
that quick?
It can.
Okay.
I mean, you got to go to therapy also, I assume, right? But
yeah.
But if you acknowledge, like, certain, I mean, we don't have to get into the details of this, but like, if there are things that you don't like about your life or yourself, and you're walking around with that shame, don't turn your back on it. Don't look at it straight and accept it.
Wow.
You know, because in the end, it's you as a 10-year-old boy, or, you know, as an infant.
Inner child.
It's your inner child just saying, I don't know, you know.
I definitely had a big shadow growing up.
Really?
I've been working on it, but it's still there for sure. But
really,
it used to be huge.
What are you ashamed of?
My parents got divorced when I was young. Felt some guilt from that. My dad recently passed, and I wish I was closer with him.
I'm sorry about that.
There's some shame there.
Yeah.
And then just like I pretended for so many years to be someone I wasn't growing up. So I was like, I wish I was more myself. Now with podcasting, I'm just myself. It feels amazing.
What were you trying to show the world before?
I was trying to fit in when I wasn't supposed to. You know, I was pretending to be, trying to be popular, trying to fit in with different groups, and just trying to be a manly man or whatever.
Were you bullied, or were you a bully?
I was never the bully. I got bullied, but yeah, I got made fun of and stuff for sure.
Yeah. I feel you on that, man.
Yeah.
So
I had a big shadow.
I mean, shit, I still do.
You think you still do after all these journeys? Really?
Of course. I mean, it's there. You know, it's there, and the more you fight it, you know, the more angry it gets. You know, the more. Wow. You just have to. The reason why I say that it's there, and it's because I acknowledge it. It's like, look, it's, you know.
Well, that's the first step for people, right? To at least acknowledge what's going on.
100%.
Some people don't even get there.
No, I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I talk to people about like doing plant medicine, the people that I know need it are the ones that say, I don't need it.
They're closed off, right?
Yeah, when they're like, no, I don't need that. And I'm like, oh, interesting. But also, that's my own perception. Like,
could be, yeah.
Yeah, that's me telling myself that whenever I don't want to do something, I need to do it. You know, because like you were saying, right? Like, this is the reason why you got into this.
Yeah. Off camera, right before we started, we were saying growth is when you're uncomfortable. That's when the most growth is.
Yeah, you got to be on your edge. You always got to. You can't be too further on the edge, because then you don't learn anything, right? But you have to be right on the edge where like you just don't know if you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
You're just like, and so that's what I love about that. You know.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
You said no control earlier. That fascinated me. So like, when you say that, because like I think I live a pretty healthy life. Like I eat pretty healthy. Is that a form of control, you think, though, that I'm choosing to eat healthier? Yeah,
I mean, but that's a choice, right? You're choosing. So that's what's lovely about us as humans, is like we get to choose what we do. What others do to us, we have no control over.
We have what others do to us.
Yeah, what the world does, we have no control over.
But don't you think you can influence your parents to treat you or talk to you differently?
Of course, but that's a choice. So you're choosing, but through the ability to communicate, to tell your parents, hey, this is what I need from you. Now, they can choose to give it to you, and they can also choose to not give it to you. And you have no control over that.
Wow.
That's the thing. It's like now you're getting into a space where like, oh yeah, so you stop taking things personal. Because you're like, oh, you're late. You're running into my time. Oh, you don't appreciate my time. Oh, and then it's like me. But only to realize like, actually, well, we don't really know what that person went to get to this moment and why they were late. Maybe it was something else that had nothing to do with you. And to remove that, then I realized like, oh, I can't convince you to be early now. That's your choice. I can tell you, hey, I'd like you to be early, but their choice is independent to their own ideas.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the way you think.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. So that's why going back to like the #1 movie and the #1 TV show and all these things, no control over that.
That's a never-ending road too.
No. I mean, I was shooting in Montreal, right? And I was there by myself, and I was walking down the streets. I like to do that when I'm shooting. I just like to walk around and just get lost and just kind of ponder on my own thoughts. And I realized like, oh, I see why, if I had a vice, how easy it would be to jump into it. It's just easy. Like when you have an addiction or, you know, a gene that's been passed down from family member to family member.
Right.
And when you're alone, those are the moments that you have to rely on the choice. You're like, oh, I choose to not do this or do that. And obviously, that's not to say that people that have addiction aren't sane, because obviously it's a disease, right?
Yeah.
But to those who are sort of teetering with the idea of something, to choose within oneself is the best way to honor yourself. So if I choose to say, okay, I'm going to do this part for this film, what comes after that is nothing personal and it's not correlated to me. And so I can enjoy the process of doing a job.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people in the public spotlight struggle with addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a common thing.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, there has to be something there. I think expectations are high, right? When you have that persona, you're trying to chase the next thing. And then when that doesn't happen, they kind of resort to addiction of whatever it is.
Yeah. It's a gene, right?
Addiction, yeah, it's probably some genetics. I try not to place too much emphasis on genetics. I've had on a lot of health experts, and a lot of them are saying it's about 20% in the equation.
What's the other 80?
Environment, the way you grew up, and just your personal stuff, I guess. So I try not to make excuses, even though obviously genetics plays a role. I have the Alzheimer's gene from my parents, but I try not to think about it, because then you're going to manifest it. So I got friends that have the cancer gene from their parents.
Yeah.
But they're thinking all day about, I might get cancer.
And so you sort of manifest it, don't you?
And I'm big on that. I'm big on manifestation.
Yeah, man. I mean, me too. I mean, I'm big on prayer too, even though I'm not very religious, but it's a way to sort of communicate with something that it's faith.
That's interesting.
To have faith in something, because
I got vivid memories of me praying as a kid when I used to go to church.
Oh, really?
When I had a stomach ache, I'd be like, please, God, make this go away. It's something I stopped doing, but.
Dude, it's so funny you talk about praying, because I remember my aunt was telling me this story yesterday, actually. We were in Pico Rivera in California, and I was maybe 4 years old, and we were at a park.
You got good memory.
Yeah, well, I remember this because I've heard it so many times, but also I do remember this moment. I was 4 years old. We were at a park. We're all hanging out. All my cousins. It's probably like 10 of us, and we all hop in the car. Well, they all hop in and they leave me. They forget about me. My uncle's driving on the freeway, and they were like, "Yo, where's Junior at?" And my family they call me Junior. It's like, "Where's Junior at?" And they turn around and they're like, "Oh shit, he's in the car." So they had to turn back on the freeway. They get back, and I'm at the park, 4 years old, leaning against a tree with my arms like this, on my knees, praying.
Wow.
As a 4-year-old, I'm praying, and to hear that story, I was like, wow, there's something about even childhood that I'm like, we believe that there's something else out there. Spirituality, God, dreams. As a kid, sometimes you don't know the difference.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah.
So that was the first time you ever prayed, that moment?
I don't remember if that was the first time I ever prayed, but I just remember that in a moment of fear, I turned to a God.
Wow.
Yeah. In a moment, as a 4-year-old, I turned to God.
Crazy.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is fascinating. And that's not the first time that's happened where I'm praying.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I do think there's previous lives. I don't know if you believe in this concept, but we've lived previous lives, and there's some generational trauma and some generational memories and stuff.
Yeah. Do you believe in old souls then?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Well, that's the thing that I heard, and I had to study it not study it, but just inform myself more, because that's the thing that I would hear from people when I was 15, 16. It's like, oh, you're an old soul. And I was like, huh, okay. And obviously, as a kid, you hear that, you think you're freaking cool. You're like, oh, yeah. I'm an old soul. But it's like, what does that even mean, right? But I think you have a good point of you sort of have to fix things here in this body now that you couldn't fix in the previous one, whatever that is, right? Like the generational stuff that you're talking about.
Agreed.
But also, there's a lot of generational trauma, I think, and just lineages from the men in our family, I think.
For sure.
That we have to fix, things that we were missing, or that my dad was missing, or that my my grandfather was missing, that I'm like, oh yeah, my dad fixed that. And now I have to fix something that my dad missed. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Because then obviously when I have a kid, they're probably going to have to fix something that they see in me. They're like, oh,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so spot on. I saw with my dad, he got physically abused by his dad. That probably happened to him. So now I'm going to end that cycle with my kids.
Wow. I mean, my dad didn't have a dad. And so it was really exciting to see him want to be a dad because his dad was never really there.
Yeah.
You know, at a certain, I think he must have been like 4 or 5 years old. And so watching him be so present with my sisters and I is something that I will forever be grateful because, you know, he could have just followed the same repetitive thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he was like, oh, I'm gonna be there.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And he would always say, I'm your best friend. Remember that?
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, I'm your best friend. My best friend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I know.
That's so cool that you have that relationship with your father. Not a lot of fathers have that friendship with their kids.
Yeah, man. You know, and I'm sorry to hear about your dad.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. A big lesson. A lot of lessons learned from my parents.
Really?
Yeah. Whether they meant to or not.
How's your mom?
Good. We did not get along growing up, dude.
Really?
To be honest, yeah. But now we do. She watches every single episode.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's my biggest supporter now.
Was there a breakthrough within that, like sort of, was it you opening up?
I think when I left the house and we both had time to reflect.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hard to like, in the moment, like zoom out. You know?
How old were you when you left the house?
I was in college, so I was 18, 19.
Oh my God, yeah.
So then we were both on our own and had some time to actually like feel what's going on.
And miss each other.
Actually miss each other, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, in the Mexican household, you stay there until you're, 20, 30, So
wow.
I didn't move out of my parents' house till I was 26. But I did have my rebel stages around 24, 25, 26. I barely stayed there. I had friends in LA and I would stay with them. But there was this thing that once I left at 26, and by the time I was like 29, it sort of mended all my dynamics with my family.
Wow.
Yeah, it did, because even you talk about this thing of like being able to separate and really process things, being alone. Because my sisters didn't really get to know me until like I was
really?
No, because even my mom would come up to me, she'd be like, "You need to tell your sisters who you are."
Whoa.
Yeah, she's like, "They don't know you."
What?
They don't know
you didn't grow up with them?
I did. That's what's crazy. You live in the same household, and I'm sure they knew me because they saw me. But in terms of what I felt, they need to know. And I remember my mom saying that. I'm like, wait, no, they do know. And they're like, no, they don't. Now they do.
Nice.
But that took a lot of time. I'll go into this very briefly, but it almost feels like, you grow up with your parents or, guardians or your loved ones or whoever. And then eventually all you want to do is become an individual. I want to break out. Like I want to get out. I want to be my own person. And I want to forget about all of these things that raised me because none of these are right. This is the new way. And then you somehow circle back to that way of being, but in the healthier way. You're like, oh, wow, yeah, actually, I am very proud of my heritage. I am very proud of the way I was raised. I am very proud of all of these things that at first I wanted to get away from.
100%.
Yeah, right.
I had shame with being Asian growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
What part of Asia?
China.
No shit.
Yeah, but I was ashamed of it.
Why? With too many white kids?
I don't know, man. Yeah, but no, what you just said was so spot on. Yeah, it was like I didn't even want to date an Asian girl. Like I was just so ashamed of the culture. Like,
whoa, really? Yeah. What changed then?
I think I don't know. It wasn't like a specific thing, but now I just embrace every culture. Like I love culture. It's a big part of my life. I eat every cuisine.
Yeah.
And there's no shame with it. I love learning about the intricacies of every single culture now.
And your job must be one of those jobs where it debunks any sort of preconceived notion of anyone.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're literally face to face with someone, talking to them all the time. Right? Rather than like having a conversation. Because I think even texting, right? Texting in its own self, like you read the text based on the day you're having.
Right. You
can have a great day and you read the day, you're like, oh, and it could be like a passive aggressive text and you'd be like, cool. All right, good.
Yeah.
But if you're having a shit day and you read it, you're like, wow. And so, but when you're face to face, it's just like
100%.
Oh, okay.
Can't run away with it on podcasts for an hour.
No, dude.
Yeah. No, but I think it was a lot of racism growing up. So that probably played a role. You know, kids were racist to me, ching chong, whatever, like eating dogs, all the typical Asian stuff, So As a kid, you're very impressionable, and that stuff gets to you.
Fucking pricks.
Yeah.
What was funny, dude, is like when I moved from Mexico to the U.S., my school was 98% Latino.
Wow.
And I was the wetback. They were like, "Oh, wetback," and I'm like, same thing when I went to Mexico, right? It's like we're literally the same color.
Yeah.
We're literally the same people. The same. I speak English. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, but kids, as you're saying, they're so impressionable.
They want to be the top dog or whatever.
They want to impress
the ladies.
Yeah. Well, you played basketball in high school?
I didn't actually. I was just not aggressive because my parents got divorced. So like not having that father figure, I lacked a lot of confidence growing up, honestly. So that was a big part of it. And basketball, you kind of need to have confidence and be aggressive. So I was a runner.
Oh, you were a runner?
Yeah.
Track and field?
Track and field.
Really? What'd you run?
800 mile, 2 mile, 5K.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good?
I was pretty good, yeah.
Nice.
You run too?
I was a shot putter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you were muscular.
I was hefty.
Nice.
I played football, so I was like a little hefty.
Oh, so you were a cool kid then. You were on the football team.
It's not that I was a cool kid, it's like I had to adapt.
Yeah.
So like I joined all the sports. I had to. Like I had no friends. Like my cousin convinced my mom, my cousin who's 2 years older than me, convinced my mom for me to move because I had already started one high school because I'm from Mexico. I was like, oh, come to this high school with me. I'll take care of him. Yeah, I'll take care of him. I go to that high school. They move me. I had made like 2 or 3 friends at this school. So now I moved to a different school. The first day I'm to that school, I go to my cousin. And my cousin's like a junior. And I'm a freshman.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey. And my cousin looks at me and he goes, and he just keeps walking. And I'm like, this son of a bitch. So then, then I knew no one. So I was like, okay, what's going on? They were like, oh, football tryouts? Okay, I'll join football. Oh, basketball tryouts? I'll try basketball.
So you never played?
Huh?
You never played those sports and you just tried out?
No. I didn't even know what football was. I was like, okay, they're doing weights and like, they're all like, oh, all aggro. And I was like, yeah, I'll try this. And so then I went to that. I did basketball. I did track and field. I did swimming.
Nice.
Yeah, because, I needed friends.
Wow.
I know.
So you were just athletic, luckily, so you could get in all those teams.
Dude, I was not athletic.
Oh, you weren't?
I was a great mimicker.
Okay.
I was an actor. I just knew how to act.
Nice.
Tough.
So you think acting's kind of natural talent, or?
I think we all have it. But the difference is, can you relax in it?
Interesting.
Can you relax in it? Like, for example, at the beginning of this podcast, I was very nervous.
Really?
I was very tight. Yeah, of course.
Oh, I didn't notice.
That's called acting. but as you get warmed up and you relax, now you get into the details and the intricacies of conversation. And so, yeah, I think we all connect, but some people just tense up. So,
yeah.
I don't know what to say, but if you relax to it, you can actually show your personality a little bit.
That was definitely me. I would tense up. I have anxiety attacks, panic attacks.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've come a long way.
Do you do breath work?
I do.
Okay.
Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim Hof.
Love that shit.
Sometimes I'll do breath work middle of conversation. People think
really
I'm pissed off. Yeah.
Whoa, just to calm down?
Just to remind myself to breathe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, breath is important.
So good.
Yeah, one little breath like that can shift your whole mindset. It's crazy.
I had a great mentor, and he said the difference between fear and excitement is a breath.
Fear and excitement. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like 2 extremes.
2 extremes, and it's all it is a breath.
Crazy.
Just remember to breathe.
You have to do that during the ayahuasca, right? The breath work stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. You have to do it. I mean, we do it all the time. We just forget, right? It's like, oh shit, it's like when you're driving on the highway and you just forget that you've been driving for an hour.
I've been noticing that lately with my driving. Yeah, I'm like, damn, I've just zoned out for 30 minutes. That's a form of meditation.
Yeah, I wonder what's in your mind when that happens.
It's different stuff. I try not to think about the past too often anymore. I used to live in the past. And that's dangerous.
That's dangerous.
Super dangerous.
A lot of regret?
A lot of regret.
A lot of regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't live in the past.
What about the future?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I try to stay present as much as possible, but I think it's important to think about the future too.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, right?
A little bit. I mean, use it as a tool.
Right.
But that's the thing. We have to use it as a tool, because like regret is the past, anxiety is in the future.
Yeah.
And it's like both of those things suck.
I know.
They suck.
That's why I try not to think about the future too much.
Yeah.
Because then you start getting anxiety. It's like, damn.
No, man. Like I'll think about, sometimes I'll be like marriage and kids and all these things, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting anxious. I was like, why am I getting anxious off of love?
Right.
Or the idea of that. I was like, oh no, it's because I'd like to have kids before my parents die. I'd like to see my parents see me get married. Just random shit.
Right.
Then I'm like, why am I even putting myself so much stress on that instead of, as you said, being present?
Yeah, I see that with a lot of women because they're on a clock, to have kids, and they rush these marriages and relationships.
Yeah.
And they got anxiety about it.
I know. Are you feeling pressure to get married?
No, I'm at a perfect pace. I've been with Ariel for 7 years. We're getting married next year.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
we've already talked about kids around 30. So
wow.
Yeah, no pressure.
You getting married here or?
Yeah, we met in Jersey.
Oh, you from Jersey?
New Jersey, yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's where the wedding's going to take
Garden State, yeah. You been out there?
I've been to I've been to New York and I've been to Jersey, but I don't know Jersey as much as I think I should.
Okay. It's called the Garden State. Check it out.
Garden State.
Yeah.
There's a movie called The Garden State.
You like nature, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of good nature there.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm pumped, but I see it every day with people. They're stressing about relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's especially because you have so much immediate contact. Like what happened, remember when people, I don't know if you remember, but when you would read about these like letters that were sent and it would take 2 weeks for a lover to get a letter.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, the breadth within that, now you can get it in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Super quick.
And the accessibility of that is crazy.
It's almost too easy now.
It's too easy.
Got these dating apps.
And there's no way to actually really ferment or build a dynamic with someone because the moment they feel, oh, you're not right for me, you move forward, you move past. I assume, or I imagine with you and your fiance, like there's a moment in your dynamic where you sort of go, I'm not moving from here. I'm done. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. How long did it take for you to sort of have that realization of like...
Yeah, I think sooner than most. But I know what you mean where it's like, this is for life. Yeah, that moment. I would say a couple years.
And that's beautiful, and I think I wish people would have the patience to get to that point.
Right.
Because it's like, excuse me, it's like, oh, we're not Uber Eats.
Yeah, I got friends with more relationships than they can even count on their hands. It's crazy to me, But that's a normal thing in the city culture these days, especially LA and Miami. Just hopping on to the next thing.
Hopping on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, gotta go to Mexico.
Yeah. How's it dating out there?
I remember growing up in Mexico that you could be someone's girlfriend or boyfriend and not have to kiss.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like it was even more normal to be like, I like you. Do you want to be my girlfriend? They'd be like, yeah, okay. And you barely holding hands.
Really? That's interesting.
It was a very reversal thing. So then when you come here and like women are grinding on it, and like you're like, yo, like, and if you go to Mexico, I'm sure there's areas that's different, but when I grew up in Mexico, everyone danced in a circle, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to LA or La Puente where I was, and you go to a party and the girls are just like backing it up on dudes. And I'm like, I'm so ashamed.
Yeah.
And also I don't feel capable of impressing a woman if she backs up on me.
Hell no.
I'm 14 years old. Like stay away, please.
Yeah. That's a turnoff for me.
Really?
If a woman were to do that to me, I'd be turned off.
Good.
Yeah.
Your fiance would like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, no, even like before that, because that happened to me before I started dating her, and I would just like,
yeah,
I'm about that spiritual connection with my woman.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah, that comes first.
The intimacy. You want to be with your best friend.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Like being with someone who fully sees you, fully accepts you, no matter how good or bad you can be, as long as you obviously don't hurt them physically.
Yeah, soulmate.
Yeah, a soulmate, man.
Yeah, big on that, dude. Well, man, it's been fun. I can't wait to do ayahuasca with you one day.
Dude, seriously. I have your number.
Yeah, we'll talk, dude. Anything else you want to close off with here?
No, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on, man. I can't wait to see your acting journey as well play out.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
I'll be watching. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out his Instagram below in the description, and I'll see you next time.